Beyond Good and Evil 2 studio head reportedly exits amid Labour investigation. This is from Kotaku. The managing director of Beyond Good and Evil 2, maker Ubisoft Montpellier, has reportedly left the studio amid a Labour investigation by local government authorities. Kotaku claims that staff at the company last week were informed that Guillaume Carmona, that might be mispronouncing that almost certainly, wouldn't be returning to his role as studio boss after being absent since the turn of the year. Three sources cite that Carmona's exit follows a year in which dozens of developers took extended leave for stress and sickness as the studio continues to struggle with the development of Beyond Good and Evil 2. According to the report, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still not even technically in pre-production. I go to you first, Jeff. Will any of the three of us be alive when this game comes out?
I don't know about you, Jeff, but I'm pretty sure I was in my 20s when I was in the room when this game was announced.
Yeah, that's I was probably in my early 30s at that point. I'm not sure at this point. It feels like a lifetime ago.
I remember it was in the Louvre. It was in the Louvre. You know when they used to run Ubi Days, their event Ubi Days?
Yeah.
It was in the Louvre in Paris. They'd rented out the entire place. Like I remember just walking around with a Heineken, looking at the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Like literally just me, the Mona Lisa, and a Heineken.
2008 was originally announced. I was 12 years old, and I will celebrate my 28th birthday in about 2 months' time. So,
yeah,
that's how long we've been with this amazing project.
and they're not even in pre-production. I just, you have to imagine, have they entered full production and then canceled it? And how many times have they thrown a game away to go like, no, this isn't it? Remember, we're talking about a sequel to Beyond Good and Evil, a really good game with really fun photo mechanics and kind of
like the best 7 out of 10 20 years ago.
Yeah, like
25 years ago.
A post Ocarina of Time. You're like, this is okay. Yeah, this has some really neat ideas. It doesn't deserve any of this. This is.
How much money has been poured into Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Yeah, meanwhile, Ubisoft has just canceled like 3 more projects and three projects here and 3 projects there. And do they have a bunch of grants riding onto this? I've seen it suggested that Skull and Bones is kicking around because of grants. And they have to ship it.
Skull and Bones is there because of the grants, with the government, the Singapore, is it Singapore government?
Yeah, it's Singapore.
It's a government grant. I can only imagine it exactly the same. It's got to be a similar thing. They have a financial commitment to release this game. Or maybe even, like, it's not unheard of that Yves Guillemot is just a massive fan. And he's like, this game is coming out. You know?
Yeah.
He's still not going, we'll rejig it. Is he leaving? Don't care. Keep going.
Yeah. Get someone new in there. Make it happen. And I at this point, like, I feel like is Joseph Gordon-Levitt going to step in and run this project? Is that what we're going to see here? Is he's going to be the guy? But I have to imagine now, and because it just seems like the type of bad move that Ubisoft would make at this point. But this game is like an NFT game by this point, right? This has to be like, if they're going to try to ride a wave and put it out, like this. That's probably their only hope to ever do anything with this, or is to like cram it full of blockchain garbage.
We're probably going to get to the point where the same amount of time between the original announcement of BG&E 2 and the re-reveal elapses again for the re-reveal when it comes out, and it's like, this is a PlayStation 6 game. This is there will be some developers' ArtStation account will show an amazing treasure trove of Beyond Good and Evil 2 stuff that will never see the light of day. Ubisoft is such a weird beast at the minute. Is it like? Yeah, I don't know why. First of all, I don't know why there's not a Division 3 on my PS5 right now, because Division 2, one of the greatest games ever made, I think. Will
probably because all the staff left, I imagine.
Yeah,
they're working on a Star Wars game, right?
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I've never been more sure than in the last couple of years about what Ubisoft's about. It's about, we need to double down on what works, which is Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I feel like that's the recent story out of them. It felt like they tried a lot of different things for a while there, right? Like, okay, well, let's just put the Assassin's Creed formula into Far Cry and this and the Division, and really kind of branching out into, well, whatever. I mean, it became the running gag of the Ubisoft style open world game. And at some point they realized, like, oh, we'll just keep making those. They'll just all be Assassin's Creed games now.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess.
But they were the masters of creating original IPs that kind of resonated at a large scale. They did it every single time. I mean, Watch Dogs 1 kind of got mixed reviews. It was like the fastest selling new IP at the time. I'm sure it did like 7-8 mil units really quickly. because they're really good at creating these IPs that resonate with the zeitgeist, right? I mean, obviously that game, kind of 10 years ago was about privacy and social networks and all this stuff that was in the news at the time. Kind of they did it again with The Division. I'm sure I'm missing out on loads more. It just feels like sparkle's gone. I mean, obviously there's all the shit that's happened the last couple of years, but it's not just that either. I think, I understand they don't pay very well, obviously. So they're the guys who've suffered the most from the environment we're in now, which is the most competitive environment for hiring experienced developers. So, there were a lot of people at Ubisoft, I think, like 10 years ago and before, who loved working at Ubisoft, but they didn't like Ubisoft. Do you know what I mean? You get those companies where it's like, and now they've all got like an opportunity on their doorstep to go and work for someone else.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of reasons to go, with the company culture being what it is. And I feel like I've talked to, a few different people who got out of there who were just like, they paid a lot of lip service to the problems here and then have been very slow to actually make real changes. And so I'm out. And so
I remember hearing like the guys who did Far Cry 6, all their leads were gone before the game even shipped. They're just gone. Like go and look through the credits. All the leads were gone before the game even shipped, virtually all of them. That's one of the reasons I imagine that they're doing Splinter Cell, because that's how you hire up, right? You get a big IP and go, hey, come work on the new shiny thing.
Right.
Yeah. God, that better be good. That's the thing though, like Assassin's Creed used to be a franchise that at least friends of mine in high school who had a 360, they would always get that new Assassin's Creed, like during the Ezio days and kind of just post that as well. And I feel like since Assassin's Creed changed significantly to become this RPG Witcher-esque kind of thing, they're arguably maybe better games depending on what side of the fence you fall on. I'm an Ezio purist personally, but I feel like the cultural cachet of Assassin's Creed has fallen quite a lot. You're not getting Michael Fassbender fronted films anymore of the Assassin's Creed franchise. That used to do numbers that nowadays it's just the stuff that's not FIFA and not COD. It's like your Rockstar games. In a recent example, obviously Hogwarts Legacy sold 1 billion copies because it fills that.
I think Valhalla still did really, really well.
I didn't really
think certainly for me, the problem is that I'm not 25 anymore. Like we're just going to make the games bigger with more stuff, and it's like, but especially when they're rolling them out every year, right? Like there's only a certain amount of time before you're completely burnt out. And it wasn't really what I wanted when it was like, okay, it's back, and now it's 4 times the size. I'm actually quite looking forward to what they're going to do next with the platform. Is it Infinity? Is it called? Yeah. And they're going to allegedly it's not just these kind of big games that they've announced. It's also like lots of small experiences. Apparently, like kind of little Aztec thing is the latest talk on the internet, and that's cool. Just dive into that, do some fun stuff.
Yeah, I think if they mechanically. They need to do right by the assassination stuff, and I think that's stuff that in the Ezio era they at least paid a little more attention to that. And I feel like in the more recent games, it might as well just be like, you're gonna get The Witcher, you're gonna get Assassin's Creed. Like, what's the difference? It's like
it needs to be Hitman.
Yeah.
Every game needs to be more like
every game needs to be more like Hitman. And so if they got back to the assassinations and with a smaller, more focused game where you can really think about that sandbox type of kill, I think that was the promise of the original Assassin's Creed. When they showed like, you can blend in with the crowd here and you can do this. And when the game finally came out, it wasn't nearly the kind of clockwork thing that they pitched it as. But, in those early days of that franchise, you had that feeling of like, the possibilities are really endless about how I can take down this target. And Hitman made good on that in ways that Assassin's Creed never did. So it'd be nice if they maybe took a cue from that to make some of these smaller games. That'd be great.
I distinctly remember reading gaming magazines about the original Assassin's Creed, like around when that was coming out, and it just sounded like it's like telling my friends like, this is going to be the greatest game of all time. Like they're doing things at video games, it's impossible. Then when I finally got it, and I was like, you can jump off the high things, and it goes like scroll, and you fly into it. Like, that's pretty cool.
They were so scared of reviews of that game. They wanted to have someone sit with our reviewer for the first like 20 hours or something like that, and we're like, absolutely
blend in next to them with like a hood on, like
right, exactly.
You're not going to know.
And ready, like, do you like it still? Do you like it still? And like, Ugh.
I think the real talk on Ubisoft though is that their real problem at the moment is that they don't have a giant service game. Like, I mean, EA can go have a bad year because FIFA's always going to make tons of money. Same with like Take-Two can have a bad year. They can go, let's spend a couple of years working on these big games and kind of get a pipeline going again. Ubisoft can't really do that right now. And they've been desperately trying to kind of make a live service game, and they've all kind of not worked out for whatever reason.
Division 3. Make Destiny, but real guns.
The crew's doing really
3.
well, apparently, by the way. Like,
The
deceptively.
crew?
Deceptively well, yeah.
Yes, quietly the Crew
making
2 is
loads of money.
It's why they made 13
they're
different
making the new
DLC
one, right?
drops for it. Yeah, and they're going to do that.
Is it called the Crew 3? It's called something else, right?
Is it still some project name, or did they actually announce it?
I think it's got like some really shit name.
Yeah.
Drive Man.
Yeah, the crew
Finally,
3
yeah.
Drive Man. I look forward to it.
A big live service game. But then, they tried Hyperscape, and like they really felt like they were very desperately chasing the Battle Royale wave for a while. And I think they still have a couple of those projects kicking around, but that sounds like the stuff that got canceled.
When I asked some friends in Ubisoft, kind of what I was trying to dig what those cancelled projects were. They announced them in their call, and I'm kind of paraphrasing this slightly, but they said, I don't know, but I hope it's some of those 50,000 battle royales we're working on.
Right. Yeah.